Colorado's Tristan da Silva has been on the NBA radar for a couple years, but as a senior, he took more steps forward, continuing to stretch his game out to the three-point line, playing more on the perimeter and improving as a passer, looking the part of a solid NBA contributor at the wing forward spot. He's an older prospect, but at 6'9" in shoes with a slightly plus wingspan, da Silva makes an impact as a knockdown three-point shooter with good feel on both ends of the floor and a knack for making plays. Now, there are surely some questions in his athleticism and ability to full-time match up on wings and create in a significant way, but in a class like this with teams searching for known commodities at a certain point, he has obvious appeal. Now, da Silva may not be in the conversation for best shooter in the class, but he's right in that tier below of guys you feel confident will space the floor and garner attention from defenses in the league. He shot about 40% from three on 299 attempts over his last 2 college seasons, and he increased his volume every single year, including this one, most of which came off the catch. He's really solid mechanically with good balance and energy transfer. He can shoot it from range and does a good job of moving into spaces on the perimeter, often above the break or on the wing, but occasionally in the corner as well. Now, I wouldn't expect a ton of movement from him beyond that, but he's at least capable of making things happen. I think he'll be a threat as a screener in numerous ways, whether it's Spain or stack action or as a pop or slip man versus aggressive defenses. That should be easy, and then the occasional DHO or flare could be part of his game as well. And at 6'9", that's a very valuable asset to have in itself, and he doesn't need to be a full-on weapon to have some value in that regard. This is his clearest NBA skill. This is the thing that will help him find a niche offensively and be a big part of what he brings to the table.
Tristan da Silva launching. 3! Da Silva. Now he's found it. Started
well. Here's Lampkin handing off to Silva. It's a splash.
Cause that face fracture, so hopefully he's gonna be all right. But obviously got a little dinged up by getting hit in the face again. Da Silva 3. Is on the bench, and besides, he's not guarding Samuel anyway, so they're really taking advantage.
Da Silva has not missed a shot. Da Silva 3.
The other part of his offense I see translating the best is his ability to cut and move without the ball and finish at the rim. He's someone that fits really well into offense and executes sets and takes advantage of opportunities that are designed for him. And he did a good job of playing off of their motion and when they'd use Lampkin as sort of a hub. He has this natural interior score improvisation or feel given his background as more of a traditional 4. And you can see it playing weak side and just finding his way into open spaces, and also as a dive man setting screens off the ball. And it led to him averaging over 1.3 points per possession on cuts on solid volume this year, and he had similar numbers in years prior. He also did a little of everything else throughout his time in Colorado. He did a lot of work on post-ups, duck-ins, and seals, which I don't think he'll do too much of in the NBA, but if he needs to punish a mismatch or scoring close, his abilities and touch are a useful skill to have. And he's shown growth as a pull-up and mid-range scorer, capable of putting it on the deck for a couple dribbles as well, so he'll likely adjust more to that complementary wing role, but producing in all of these different areas on a successful team does at least mean something.
Defensive rebounding teams in the country. Da Silva off the pass
because they spread the court out so wide. Good pass, Lampkin, and a sledgehammer thrown down.
Defense. If you can get stops, you get players trying to be greedy there, you're doing well. And speaking about doing well,
Isaac Jones now 11 points, 10 rebounds, a double-double. Da Silva, jump hook, go.
Stevens tries it from the baseline, and Da Silva takes advantage of the mismatch.
Tristan da Silva in the lane, it rolls
2 years driving to the rim, showing off his athleticism. Of course, he still has that, just added the three-point shooting.
37%. So they are being clamped down. Nice shot clock winding down. What a pass.
Triple-double in one of the games against Colorado earlier this year. That was skyward and a beautiful mismatch here. Da Silva just banging into the lane.
It's so hard to defend that because you don't know when it's coming. Here's Da Silva in the lane. Jump shot good for Da Silva.
Post. Excellent defender, fantastic passer. Just so many weapons on this team.
Offense that made Da Silva a much more appealing prospect this year was the improvement he made as a passer. He had a negative assist to turnover ratio in his first 3 seasons, but he came back and made significant strides in his vision, his accuracy, and timing to ultimately be more of a projectable offensive player. Sure, the live dribble stuff could still use some work, and you're not asking him to run offense or be a big time playmaker, but the team or connective playmaking is stuff he showed, and I think whether it's making a play off a movement, on a short roll, or in transition, he showed he's capable and can execute.
About everything he does.
Tie on the miss to Silva with the board, and he's going to feed it right into Joe.
Wow. How about the wrapper?
Colorado trying to climb back in this thing, get a little something going offensively. How about that will do it?
The lead in this game can feel like eternity because the game is so choppy with rhythms.
Benjamin took it away from
24 in a JUCO title game a couple of years ago.
Oh, how did that?
Tristan da Silva weaves his way in. Javon Hadley, 3!
Coaching staff and Mark Madsen.
Their bench loving what's going on right now.
Just Colorado in this game. Yeah, just 2 of 11. Silva inside to Simpson. Uses
Da Silva fakes, drives, feeds inside.
Now defensively, he could be limited in some ways, but there's still a good amount to like, and he was consistently a positive in terms of defensive rating and on-off splits, and I don't think that's a coincidence. He's a capable mover at 6'9" who has a good grasp of his responsibilities and help. He's got solid positioning, the rotations and awareness was there, he consistently gave effort, and he was a presence in their gap defense, and I think that'll show itself in spots. His low stocks and limited impact as a help side rim protector are limiting factors, but he's just solid across the board and someone that at his best will likely make his presence felt most as a team guy. Now on the ball there's a little more in question, but he gets by with solid mobility, effort, and just knowing personnel. He recovers well and made plays with his sheer size. He defends without fouling and held up on switches well enough at this level. I think as long as he's in the right context and has support on the back end and in help, and they're not asking him to just shut down opposing wings, he has enough to be just fine, but there could be some elements to work through.
some type of rhythm. Watkins and Da Silva pokes it away from him. Madsen's been aggressive today, but he turns controlling a lot of this game. And an ill-advised pass in there for 7. Miami's 3 for 4. The offense is stealing the show early, as you might have anticipated.
Colorado turnovers. Degenhardt's getting his touches too, isn't he? Clearly something that they talked about in the
over a steal a game. And Coach Boyle says he's probably their best on-ball defender.
The defense has picked up really the perimeter. Very good for Colorado. Stanley was forced way out
On the defensive end.
16 points now for Williams. Good hesitation and drop. Great recovery.
The Williams miss.
Mismatch down there and out of the perimeter. Rice just getting run. They're running out of time.
Kuznard running it in and leaving it short.
As we just mentioned, some of the most important questions in Da Silva's game actually come from the defensive end. Now again, there is a good amount to like, but I have questions in his ability to contain quicker players in space and navigate screens. He's a bit limited by his foot speed, he can't provide great ball pressure, he has a tendency to get put into recovery, and it could be a challenge for him in the NBA. Now he's gotten a lot better here over the last couple years because this was one of my main gripes earlier on. I just thought he couldn't keep up. And in addition to that, over time I valued this just a little less for big wings than I used to, but I still think there may be an adjustment period for him. And then off the ball, it's more about his ability to cover ground and fly around on rotations and recovering, because even when he was in the vicinity and had the right read or rotation, he had plenty of instances where his closeouts weren't really felt, and then the stocks and rebounding aren't really in the range that you want to see from a 23-year-old at 6'9" that didn't have a big offensive load to carry. If he can fully embrace this end of the floor and hit on certain areas, I think he'll be just fine as a solid defender. It might just take a little learning on the fly, and he doesn't necessarily have the highest upside.
Officiating for Final Four, Doug Shaw. championship games, his 26th tournament. There's a shot with a three.
Down 10, they need a bucket right here. Burrow pulls up and
the turnover in Aberdeen racing the other way. Finding Pollock, he'll try it inside.
We need to continue to do that, to keep letting it roll.
Oh, Keontae! Got no chance to guard Da Silva that far from the basket. Clayton inside.
Defense can feed a lot of energy to this end of the floor.
Previous foul by Da Silva.
Rice feeds the post. This is Cam Martin who's checked into the game. Fights middle. Nice.
Green working on Da Silva. What a spin move.
Now offensively, his struggles as a ball handler and his inability to really assert himself as a driver and scorer do limit his offensive impact. You're not looking at him to do a ton of creating, but even in more of a play finishing or complementary role, he's going to need to improve handling the ball in traffic and avoiding easy turnovers, as well as making apt decisions as a playmaker, given he doesn't create the clearest passing angles. And then handling NBA length, athleticism, and contact as a finisher at the rim will be key too. He finished at a good rate, and I would bet on his touch, but he's not particularly explosive, and it may have been the root of his indecisiveness or him being passive in some games. Overall, this is another spot where I really did appreciate the level of growth he showed in being a more perimeter-oriented player over his career, and down the stretch of the season he started doing even more of that, and it helped him nearly go on a deep tournament run. But at his age, he doesn't have the same wiggle room to figure things out, so all of these elements will be key to maximizing. Aside from those areas, there's not too much else to touch on. We pretty much know who he is at this point and where things likely will or won't go.
Smith is trying to get this team going. Transition, steals, blocks, defensive rebounds.
Da Silva driving, goes right at the chest of ball, but missed the shot.
Towards the basket, roll those shoulders forward. Nice ball fake here. Silva slithers into the paint, back to the rim, no.
To get a stop, and they do go with some pressure, but there's no way how can guard Da Silva off the dribble. Look at Da Silva come in!
Necessarily. 5 turnovers for Cal. Da Silva floating. Left hand is good.
Offensively is super unselfish.
Da Silva drawing.
That was a weird pass by Benny. He jumped in the air and turned it over. Boy, how smooth Tristan.
Da Silva and Williams back on the floor for the Buffaloes. Tristan the spin. Lost it, got it back for him since opening night, and he's had a great night here. He's got 9.
And this finale in the semifinal round, winner gets Oregon. Da Silva has been.
Give him a little daylight, he's going to let it go.
Cougars have missed their last 4. Isaac Jones will be checking back in.
Tristan da Silva's outlook is pretty simple. He's going to be a big wing/forward who spaces the floor and finishes plays off whoever the creators are on his team, and some of those smaller areas will dictate how good he is in that role. And then defensively, I'd lean towards him playing the 3 a little better than the 4, but it'll be somewhat personnel based, and he should still be at his best as a team guy. He probably maxes out as a nice starter that impacts winning and could be like the 5th guy on a really good team, and has a pretty good chance at sticking around as a back-end rotation piece, because all it takes is his shot or the defense going up just a level and he's well established. He'll likely land anywhere from the late lottery to the mid-first round, with a handful of teams being good fits for him, but I think Cleveland, Sacramento, and Orlando would be towards the top of my list, and then you've got Philly, Portland in that mix too. If you're looking for a comparison, I think Simone Fontecchio could be similar in impact, though Da Silva isn't quite the same level of athlete, and then he's also got some similarities to guys like Jake LaRavia and Jaime Jaquez.
Miller with the basketball against Fontecchio. And Fontecchio, Pippen Jr. He'll shovel back to LaRavia. Does he have another? He does. ABCs 1, 2, 3s.
LaRavia, 1, 2, 3. Simpson on the baseline. Great.
Tristan da Silva is one of the easier pitches in this class to me. You know what you're getting from a big shooter with great size and a history of making winning plays and good decisions on both ends. And there are some questions that'll color his ability to stick as easily in the NBA, but as a rotation bet and someone that can come in and fill a role a little easier than some of his younger, high upside classmates, he fits the bill and is most valuable in about the mid-teens.